Chicago police officer was shot and killed. Other officers found her wounded at 81st and South Blackstone in Avalon Park around 1:42 this morning. They grabbed her, put her in the back of a squad car, rushed her to the hospital where she died. Her identity has not been released. There are no details on what led up to that shooting. Mayor Lori Lightfoot said that she spoke with the officer's family at the hospital.
I won't speak for the mother, but I can tell you that she poured everything that she could into her child. No mother wants to wake up to the tragic news that their child is dead, and dead to something as awful and tragic as gunfire. It goes without saying, but I've directed the superintendent to spare no expense to make sure that we find the people responsible for this and bring them to justice.
Mayor Lori Lightfoot said the officer was young. The family is asking for privacy.
All right, guys. So unfortunately, we have to talk about a extremely sad and tragic story that I've had to do all too often on my channel. Specifically when it comes to police officers being shot and killed in the line of duty. More specifically, black police officers that have been shot and killed in the line of duty. And one of the reasons why I feel the need to highlight this is because we do have an epidemic of violence that is happening against law enforcement in this country that the mainstream liberal media does not want to talk about, okay? And I believe, unlike the woke extremists and the race hustlers, that black people who are public servants who lose their lives in the line of duty or lose their lives to criminals or that die tragically need to be highlighted. Okay, these are the people that we should be protesting in the street about. These are the people that we should be talking about. These are the people's lives that we should be honoring because they are positive examples for black people in terms of what we should aspire to and what we should be. Okay, we should be protectors of our community. We should be educators. We should be leaders. Okay, and when positive contributors to our society, to the black community, when they tragically lose their life, I feel the need to highlight it. This is not the first time I've done a story like this, okay? I remember doing a story about a slain Baltimore black female police officer who was shot just sitting in her car, okay, by some criminals. Now, unfortunately, I have to talk about another story, a similar story about Miss Aréanah Preston, who's a 24-year-old police officer that was shot and killed in Chicago. Okay, she was a Chicago police officer. She was shot and killed during a robbery. Now, this story came out a few days ago. I saw it. I wasn't really going to talk about it at first because we didn't have much information, but now we have information about what exactly happened, or we have a better idea in terms of what happened. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, I gotta tell you guys. Again, the race hustlers, the woke revolutionaries, the fact that they're silent about this, the fact that they're not protesting about this, tells you everything you need to know about who these people choose to care about and who they don't choose to care about. They're currently losing their minds over a homeless criminal who lived a life of thuggery, losing his life because a Marine decided to stop him from being a threat, which he was his whole life, a threat. They're boohoo whining and crying about that, shutting down the subway over it. But you have a female police officer who is on her way to getting a master's degree, who is a positive contributor to society. She loses her life to criminals doing a robbery, and it's crickets. Crickets from the mainstream liberal media, crickets from the race hustlers, crickets from the protesters. And again, I'm called a Tom, right? I'm called a sellout for even talking about stories like this, right? That, oh, I don't care about black people. And it's like, no, I care about law-abiding black people, okay? I'm standing up for law-abiding black people. So anyways, I want to talk about this story because the criminals that got arrested in relation to this story, it's the same song and dance that we've heard time and time and time again. How progressive criminal justice reform is quite literally the biggest threat to this country. And I want to get into it. But before I get into it, I actually want to play a couple videos, so that you guys get a better understanding of what happened with the slaying, the death, the murder of this police officer. And then we're going to get into the suspects and their background. So go ahead and roll the clip.
Charlie, ABC 7 I-Team learned that Chicago police detectives had some cooperation with potential witnesses to that deadly encounter with Officer Preston. Those witnesses then helped lead detectives and investigators to 2 men and 2 women who are now under arrest.
It was an hours-long standoff on the city's south side late Sunday night.
And there was about 12, 14 police cars on the north end of the block.
SWAT officers surrounded a home near 77th and Bishop, blocking off access as neighbors say police shouted commands for hours into the night.
We have the building surrounded. Come out with your hands up.
Sources have confirmed to the ABC 7 I-Team that standoff ended with 4 people in police custody in connection to the shooting death of one of their young colleagues. 24-year-old Chicago police officer Aréanah Preston was shot and killed in her front yard as she returned home from her shift at the far south side 5th District. Investigators have released few details about what may have led to her shooting.
It weakens for me to think that she's gone.
Still too shocked and distraught to speak on camera, Preston's aunt posted this message to Facebook Sunday night about her late niece.
She just was doing such a great job, and this happened to her. It was unbelievable.
Aréanah Preston was supposed to be graduating Loyola with a master's degree in criminal justice on Saturday. Now purple bunting hangs in memoriam to the young officer who was killed just 3 years into her policing career.
Sources say that 4 people of interest are being questioned. CPD surveillance teams were following one of the suspects last night and arrested him moments after he got into the backseat of an Uber with another woman. Other suspects were taken into custody after a SWAT standoff in a building near 76th and Bishop. Pictures taken by the Uber driver show that a gun was recovered. Police reports say that it was a semi-automatic 9mm pistol. It's unclear if that is the same gun used to kill Officer Preston. We spoke to that Uber driver who says police surrounded his car within moments of that passenger getting in.
All I saw like a minute after that was lights and police personnel jumping down from their cars, coming surrounding my car front and back with their guns pointed at my vehicle.
Now, that Uber driver was uninjured. He says that he was placed in handcuffs for a short time until officers were able to sort out that situation. As for charges, police formal charges have yet to be announced. We do expect them sometime within the next 48 hours. We are live from Chicago Police Headquarters. Charlie DeMar, CBS 2 News.
Thank you, Charlie. Yeah, so you've seen that, you heard that. Now let's read more here about what happened and the background of the suspects, because this is going to really lead us to the conversation that we really should be having about cleaning up these communities and making progress that the woke revolutionaries really don't want to have. Okay, this is what we actually really should be protesting about and the policies that we should be for. It's going to be highlighted in the story. So let's read here. Preston was shot during an exchange of gunfire with 2 people who were apparently trying to rob her, a source said. So she was double teamed. The attackers initially drove past Preston in 2 vehicles and then came back around to pull behind her, a source said. She fired in self-defense and 2 assailants sprayed gunfire, striking her twice and also grazing her. At least one of the attackers appeared to have a gun that was converted to fire automatically with a device commonly known as a switch, a source said. The shooting was partially captured on home surveillance video. So this video is out there somewhere. She was double teamed with one having an automatic weapon, which means she was definitely probably overpowered. Preston's attackers are suspected of robbing other people around the time, a source said. Late last month, police issued an alert warning of 3 similar robberies in the area. Quote, in these incidents, the victims exited their vehicles when another unknown vehicle arrived, and multiple offenders exit and approach armed with handguns and demanded the victim's property. According to the alert, the offenders then returned to their vehicles and fled. Hours after the standoff ended, a neighbor of one of the suspects described him as a menace. Quote, I'm not surprised at all, said the neighbor, who asked not to be named. Well, I wonder why, because he probably doesn't want to lose his life in retaliation. The suspect, a 19-year-old man, had lived in Auburn Gresham for 2 years with his mother and younger sibling, the neighbor said. Again, Can you guess the skin color of these individuals? Again, since the left is so obsessed with skin color, again, I can only guess and imagine what the skin color of this individual might have been. Although he had never seen drugs or guns at the home, the neighbor said he's a typical thug, who has been in and out of jail. Police had been called to the home 3 or 4 times a year. He said, I hope he didn't kill the lady, but I'm glad he's off the street. The neighbor said the block, mostly single-family homes with video doorbells, is typically quiet. He said there's always one bad apple, he added, and he was the bad one. Court records show the man's first adult arrest came in July 2021 when he was caught with a gun equipped with an extended magazine after police responded to a shot spotter alert and stopped a car in Grand Crossing. While in custody, he spat on a cop and tried to kick another officer. According to police records, the charges were dropped in November 2021. Yeah, so charges was dropped, right? Again, this person clearly is a criminal, committing crimes, assaulting, spitting on police officers. They dropped the charges. In and out of jail. Again, it's the same song and dance over and over again. And these progressive idiots really think that they can clean this up by just pouring more money into the community. Just pour more money into the community. Don't lock the criminals up. Have the criminals terrorize the community while pouring money into the community. Amazing. Less than a week later, he was arrested again after allegedly throwing his mother and 2 televisions down the stairs of their Auburn Gresham home and flattening one of her tires. According to court records, a protective order was granted, but the charges were eventually stricken last December. So here we go. The same thing. This dude threw his own mother down a stair. Threw his own mother, tried to hurt his own mother. And these lunatics on the left, they think these people can be reformed. These people can't be reformed. These thugs cannot be changed. They should be locked up. They should be off the street. This type of behavior that these people are exhibiting at 17, 18, 19 years old. Again, I did a story about teenagers that tried to assassinate another teenager on a bus. Hopped on the bus with a gun. You can't reform that. You can't change that. You ain't rehabilitating that. You have to lock them up and throw away the key. But that's the opposite of what these people want to do. They want to keep letting these criminals who have shown a pattern of being violent go in and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of jail until they eventually kill somebody. And it happens over and over and over again, rinse and repeat. Again, these lunatics on the left don't give a damn about black lives being lost until it's a criminal, right? If this criminal had lost his life at the hands of a white police officer or a white person trying to stop him from committing a crime, these people will be boohoo, whining, crying, talking about how he was going to turn his life around, how he had so much promise. Oh, he was just hungry. He just wanted something to eat. Again, these criminals should be in jail. We need another crime bill. We need to bring back tough on crime policies. That's what we need. Wow. As that case was pending, he was indicted in June 2022 on felony gun charges. Records show he pleaded guilty to a single count of aggravated unlawful use of a weapon in January and was sentenced to 2 years probation and 50 hours of community service. Again, just committing crimes over and over and over again, and nobody's throwing a man in jail. Nobody's putting him behind a cage where he belongs. He was also arrested last September when tactical officers forced their way into a home in the 11200 block of South Indiana Avenue, and he was found sleeping near a, quote, ghost gun with an extended magazine. Records show the charge was dropped days later. Again, the same thing over and over again. A 20-year-old woman who was also taken into custody during the SWAT incident was previously arrested in April 2021 and charged with a misdemeanor count of having a gun in her bedroom without a valid firearm owner's identification card. Court records show the charge was dismissed in January 2022. The suspect, who was taken into custody during a traffic stop, a 20-year-old woman, was arrested in December 2021 and charged with a misdemeanor domestic battery for allegedly punching another person and pulling her hair at the group home where they lived. The case was dropped in February 2022. Again, same pattern of behavior, right? Let criminals in and out of jail, drop charges, don't prosecute them until they finally kill somebody. And in this case, they killed a police officer while allegedly trying to rob her. Again, a woman who was doing all the right things. She was in school. She was furthering her education. She was a positive contributor to the community. She was building her life. And she had it taken away from her by thugs and criminals because you have these people that believe in soft on crime policies that think locking up criminals is racist. And she lost her life because of that. And it happens time and time and time again. And you don't hear a damn thing from the media about it. You don't hear a damn thing from the race hustlers, Al Sharpton, Crump. You don't hear nothing from them about it. You don't hear nothing from them. The protest. You don't hear nothing from BLM. They're silent on this. But let a criminal lose his life at the hands of a white person and they boohoo, whining, and crying. They shut down subways. Again, this is why black folks ain't going nowhere. Because we honor criminals. We praise thugs. But the people who are positive contributors to our society, we don't give a damn about. We don't care. They lose their lives to criminals. We don't care. Again, we're the only group of people out here honoring the worst among us, and then we wonder why we're in the place we're in, why we're at the bottom. Well, we're at the bottom because we praise the people that are the worst among us. That's what happens. And I mean, it is what it is, man. Again, people like me who call this out, who point out stories like this, I'm called a sellout, a Tom, a this, that, and the other for simply pointing out the truth. Because, you know, damn well, nobody else is going to talk about this. Nobody else is really going to point it out and call it for what it is. Again, it's just amazing how that works. This is why we're in this position. And I don't see anything changing. I really don't. In fact, it's getting worse. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.